I don't really want to talk about this game. It's okay, but also at the same time, I am getting a little bit of enjoyment by just talking about how bad my team is because maybe they'll stop being bad. I don't know. I'm going through some emotions, but I know this isn't the Ohio State show, so let's make sure we talk about Northwestern as well. Frank, Ohio State has not won a single road game since New Year's Day of last year, and it was against Northwestern, and Northwestern just completely destroyed Ohio State in this one. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, we talked about Nebraska at home versus on the road being kind of two different teams. And I think we're kind of seeing that with Northwestern too. I mean, they definitely have a baseline offense, and then they've just exploded a few times this season. Once against Purdue, they did a pretty good job against Illinois. Did a pretty good job against Michigan State, and then here against Ohio State. And as we talked about before we went live, I watching this game kind of in the peripheral as it was on, I just felt like Northwestern was just having their way. They were, Ohio State wasn't executing, and I went back and watched the condensed version today, and it just felt like Ohio State had some good shots that didn't go in. Northwestern had some good and also some questionable shots that just happened to go in. But when Buie gets going, man, like he just needs a little bit of just a little bit of a warm up, and he's gone. Like he is such top 3 guard in the conference, in my opinion, just in terms of isolation and being able to get a bucket when you need one. But yeah, I know a lot of Ohio State fans, at least from what I saw on Twitter last night, were ready to hop off the Holtman train, ready to kick him to the curb. And I'm not saying it's not there, but I'm not saying it's there. It's at that point, but I think 25 of Ohio State's 58 points came from the line, and just overall, you just can't have a whole bunch of guys have really inefficient nights. Thornton goes 3 for 9 from the floor. Battle goes 1 for 6. You don't see that from him typically. Now, if he makes 2 more of those, that doesn't really change the outcome of the game. But you couple that with the guys around him just having inefficient nights, and things are going to go well. Ultimately, Ohio State was 34% from the floor. Northwestern is 57% from the floor. I mean, that's just a recipe for a blowout loss. Northwestern has 6 guys in double figures too, which is just a hard thing to overcome. But I'm like I said, I'm not ready to give up on Ohio State yet. I know a lot of Ohio State fans seem to be there if what I saw on Twitter is representative of the fan base as a whole, but I'm still feeling good. Ohio State's got a really talented team. In my opinion, they have a pretty good coach, and I just think that they just caught Northwestern on a bad night for Ohio State.
Yeah, and the problem is that, like, if this was one performance where Ohio State was shooting bad, I would say, no harm, no foul. Not everybody has their nights. Move on from there. But ever since IU, it's been bad shooting performances, and that's something that you have to eventually fix if you're the coach. And I've said my opinion here on Chris Holtman so many times, and I'll say it again if there is anybody who hasn't heard it. I think Chris Holtman is a fantastic human being. I think he is a high character individual, and I'm proud to have him as the coach of my basketball team when the basketball team is doing well. It's unfortunate, but the team does not look confident. The team quit at one point during that game, and for me, that's really, really difficult to watch. And so, yes, last night I was in my emotions a little bit going through it. But I mean, I think any of us could say if you watched your team literally just give up at some point, you'd be frustrated too. And I'm not so much frustrated at those players because I get it. But it's just frustrating to see. Not saying I dislike the players. It's just frustrating to see. And unfortunately, I don't know how Chris Holtman fixes it. And unfortunately, based off what he said after the game, I don't think he knows how to fix it either. And that's something where it's like, almost for like Ohio State's sake, but because I love Chris Holtman so much, for his sake as well, I almost want him to leave just so that way his stock is high enough that he can get another head coaching job someplace else, because I do think he's a good coach. I just don't think it's working right now. And I think that, unfortunately, unless he makes it to the Final Four this year, I think Ohio State fans are just out on him for good. And like I said, that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So, yeah, Sonny, your thoughts on the game?
We also have to keep in mind that, Ohio State has a very, big and energetic fan base, and there was a lot of negative energy, a lot of angry folks after Michigan won that national title. Now the football team has had the off season of the ages, grabbing every stud there is. So that negative energy has to go somewhere. And poor Chris Holtmann, he's getting the brunt of it right now. But not that I disagree with anything you're saying. Like you said, the team just looks very confused, discombobulated. Like, I agree. I think Holtmann's a good coach, but even sometimes good coaches just don't do a good coaching job. And this just might be an instance where it's kind of best for both parties to just kind of have a clean slate, start, try something fresh in, two different environments. But, I also want to give credit to Northwestern. I know they're a rival of ours, but Northwestern, look at the panel. Like, they've beaten both of our teams, all three of our teams, essentially at home now. Buie, I agree with you when you say, he arguably a top 3 guard in the conference, but I genuinely think, I don't know if there's a player I would rather have at the end of a game than Buie. And I kind of mentioned that in the Northwestern preview as well. I was like, we need to create some distance between Illinois and Northwestern, because if Buie and Northwestern is, within a couple baskets of you, he can take control of the game. No matter who you have on the floor, he has a capability of being the best player on the court at that time. Illinois saw it a couple days ago. Ohio State didn't really have to see it. There was a little bit more cushion on Northwestern side there, but again, you just got to give credit to Northwestern. They're going to be a tournament team this year, and they're just a very hard team to play at their arena.
Yeah, and that's the part I don't want it to get lost in, because almost every time we do an Ohio State recap, it turns into JR's emotional time, and that's fine. I'll put my emotions on the stream. I don't really care. Call me emotional. I don't care. I like my team. Sue me. But I do think we also need to talk about Northwestern, like you guys pointed out. This is a very good team at home, and Buie is probably the second or third best player in this conference. There's a couple other guys that are vying for that second spot as well, but I think Buie is at least second or third here. And I was kind of down on Buie earlier in the year because I said he just wasn't consistent enough in some areas, but he's been consistent lately, and he's looked really, really good doing it. So, and some of it too, also, as I watch Northwestern more, I realize this, some of it too is not always Buie. And I'm not trying to disparage the team, but sometimes it's the teammates around him as well that are not performing to give him some of the numbers that you would like to see to make him look better. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. We have a few comments here, so I'm gonna roll through these. 49ers won, good game. Yes, I saw that. I know everybody likes the Lions story, but I don't like anything up north, so I'm good with that. Jeffrey said what Frank hit on was the biggest concern, and I think he's dead on, but thanks for answering, fellas. Just want an outside perspective. You're welcome. That's what this whole podcast is about, outside perspective of all kinds of Big Ten teams. Fisherman, good evening. Holtmann buyout is $14 million though. Yes, Fisherman, you were the one in the comments last time talking with us about Holtmann. That'll be
money doesn't matter with Ohio State. We've learned that this offseason. Your coffers are full.
And if you have been following Ohio State as closely as I have, the Texas A&M AD is the one coming in to replace Gene Smith, and he just fired, who was it? Jimbo Fisher for what, like $70 million? So he looks at $14 million. He's like, chump change. Jeffrey again, actually, you both right. JR, hey, thanks. Hit on the defensive concerns. I also share, yes. And Russ being Mr. Perspective for me here. I appreciate that. Good news for Ohio State is at least 3 of the 4 new teams next year will likely slide right into the Big Ten basement, which raises Ohio State's floor. Yes, thank you. That's what I need. I need to keep adding worse teams to the conference to make my team seem a little bit better, but we'll just remain stagnant there. I'm fine.
JR, can I ask one question about this game? So Ohio State shot 33 free throws. Northwestern shot 17. And I feel like Purdue fans all season have just been hearing about these conspiracy theories, right? Every time there's a big gap in the number of free throws teams shoot, it's a refereeing conspiracy theories. It's guys getting away with fouls and stuff. So I just think that I'm asking, where's the Ohio State conspiracy theory? Because we should at least be consistent, Anytime one team doubles up the other in free throw attempts, I mean, there's got to be something wrong systematically. I think so. I'll be waiting for that one.
No, what happened was Ohio State had some leftover NIL money, and they actually paid the refs to try and help them win the game. And unfortunately, even when you pay the refs, you can still lose by 25. Yeah. So there's your answer, Frank. All right. I don't think we have any more thoughts here. So does does that mean Buzz Williams is coming? I hope not. I don't really want Buzz Williams, but at this point, I'd take anybody, I guess. Am I crazy for wanting Sean Miller? Is that crazy? Mr. FBI guy?
I think there are some better guys. There's some better coaches you could get. He wouldn't be a bad pick, but I think they're like, you should go through like Jerome Tang, maybe Jerome Tang would jump ship.
Yeah. I mean, you have that Big Ten money coming in. You know, it's just who's the guy at Arizona now?
Tommy Lloyd. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. As Rush just said in the comments, Dusty'd be a good one, honestly. And I feel like
he's IU bound.
He's getting a lot of money right now, but money's no obstacle for Ohio State. That'd be a really good one. You know, not that Sean Miller is a bad one, but I think that he's maybe like a third or fourth option if Ohio State has their way.
I got into an argument. I wouldn't even call it an argument. A disagreement with somebody on Twitter, X, whatever you call it, about Eric Musselman. Do you guys feel like Eric Musselman would lead Arkansas for Ohio State?
I mean, the SEC is really not. I mean, it's really top heavy every year. I think there's a chance if the price was right. I do. He's kind of a weirdo, though. He's kind of a weirdo. I don't know. And see, we got some comments coming in backing me up on Jerome Tang. There we go. But yeah, I wouldn't want Musselman coaching if I were like for my school personally. He's just kind of a weird guy.
Well, I'll just tell you, if we could get Ryan Day calling out the media after his games, the 80-year-old media after his games, and then Eric Musselman taking off his shirt after Ohio State game, I am all for that. That's going to be post-game pandemania over at Ohio State if you have those.
One more name I'll add is, and this is actually semi-feasible, is Chris Beard too. He's having a really good season too. So go get Shaka. He likes playing Big Ten teams already in the comments. There you go. Yeah. That'd be another good get.
I didn't follow much with Chris Beard after the whole situation at Texas. Was he like charged for that or what?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't, but he was dismissed as the coach, and he's at Ole Miss, and I think he's at Ole Miss, and he's doing pretty well down there. So
okay.
I just think that I think that's Ohio State's definitely a better destination between the two, but I'm not sure if they're still ranked. He's had them ranked though this season, and he had a lot of good transfers. So he's another guy that upset Purdue back in 2015 with Little Rock, and Purdue kind of springboarded his career, just like we kind of did with Tobin Anderson. So you get Tobin Anderson too. That's another great, from Iona now. Yeah.
If there's anybody that can just come in and face off with Purdue a little bit, and give me and Frank some rivalry banter, that'd be nice. So. Thanks for listening to the Big Ten Huddle. Please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that. If this was your first time listening, we are the Big Ten Huddle. We cover all things Big Ten football and basketball. We have a long episode every Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night, all at 9 o'clock. So come in, check us out, get in the chat, let us know what you're thinking. We would love to have you join us and learn more about the Big Ten.